If I told you about her, the princess without voice, what would I say?
Okay, so Guillermo del Toro. Okay, so this is a Guillermo del Toro movie. I love Guillermo del Toro. You know, at his best, it's Pan's Labyrinth and Devil's Backbone, Hellboy. At his worst, yeah, but you know, the good ones, which Shape of Water is brilliant. So I think this scene would be really cool to kind of recreate in Unity. It's got lots of atmosphere and cool little effects. Let's start with analyzing the scene and see what's going on. Okay, so there's like a shit ton of fog going on, fog everywhere, so we need some kind of volumetric lighting system for this. I'm gonna use Aura 2, which is a plugin that you can buy. If you don't have that, HDRP has volumetric lighting as well, so that would work. I try to stay away. And then we have like the Godrays, which is like essential for any cool looking game. So we can do that with volumetric lighting. So I'm going to use a particle effect instead. I think I will have more control over the Godrays that way. And then we have kind of the shimmering effect that you often can see at the bottom of a pool. So I'm probably going to use projectors for that. And then we have some little glowy stuff that's just emission with bloom or something, so that's quite straightforward. So yeah, let's get going. So starting a project, no HDRP or anything fancy, it's just a classic built-in. For the Blockout I'm using Pro Builder, so I'm going to the package manager, look that up, hit install. Before starting the Blockout I want to have some kind of reference to work from, so jumping into Photoshop I create a simple layout based on the movie material. Save it to Unity, make it a sprite, and just drag that into the scene and we can start blocking out from that. So as you see, I'm super crude with this blockout. I don't want to go into detail, I always try to work with broad strokes and then break it down later on. That's of course not always possible working in a game project when you work with a lot of people together, but working alone I can manage my time exactly the way I want to, so that's how I'm doing it. There's nothing worse than working on something for a long time and then realize, oh, that didn't fit the scene, I have to throw that away, or maybe something changed up so we didn't need it anymore. So I don't put effort or time into anything that I'm not quite sure that this is really needed and this will make a difference to my scene. For a final check, I just grab a screenshot, attach it to the camera and make sure that everything fits okay at least. Changing the FOV, move stuff around, that stuff. So yeah, I think we can call the Blockout done. It looks alright. Just cleaning the hierarchy up a bit, making it more manageable, putting everything under folders so we can turn things on and off quickly. Switching the blockout meshes to... holy shit, that was hard. Switching the blockout meshes to static. And why do I do that? Because I'm gonna light map stuff. You might think, okay, lighting already, that's pretty early. For me, I start with lighting very early on. It's one of the most important parts of a scene, setting the mood, and it's also the most fun, so why wait? So some area lights on the windows. Color pick from reference, and then we bake. Super low settings from now, I just need the general impression, so quick bakes for quick iterations. If I want to watch Hardline together, Thomas, sure, that'd be fun.
Is it going to be green? Laurie Greenland's time is up by 0.6 then, Bernard Kerr.
Match camera background color with the window color. And let's get rid of the Pro Builder material with all those lines and replace it with a simple white one. So time to add, as I phrased it earlier, a shit ton of fog to this. So I'm installing Aura 2, and then I add an Aura component to the camera and tweak, and there we go, fog. For the volumetric light by the windows, I add a box volume and then place it accordingly. And then we obviously have some kind of leaking ceiling because there's lots of blue light shining in where we see the Godrays. So I'm using a cone volume for that. And yes, that's the first iteration of the lighting pass done. I think the mood and the colors are pretty much already there. It's a solid foundation that we can add to. So next up is Godrays. Yes, so doing those guys. Create a particle system and move it about a bit. Now, so the particles are moving in the wrong direction, so rotate it. And for the magic moment, stretched billboard. And stretch. Voila, that's Godrays, kinda. So change color and add a new additive material. Okay, that's white. Okay. Made a boo-boo. There we go. Okay, should I go to Photoshop and paint the particle mask? Nah, let's hope we can find something decent hiding in here. That looks good. Yeah, perfect. Change in and out opacity to remove that pop. Tweak some more, and Godrays done. Time to tackle the caustics. Caustics? Caustics? Ah. So this was fun. I wasn't quite sure how to do this. Starting with projectors though is probably a good idea. Projectors isn't around natively anymore as far as I know in Unity, but you can find them in the standard asset package on the asset store. So grab that. So what projectors do is they project an image on a surface. So we need like a caustic pattern projected and then moved about in a clever way. For that I need to create a custom shader, I'm pretty sure. I don't really code, so I need a node-based solution. I use Amplify all the time. HDRP and URP has its own node-based shader editor. But since I'm old and grumpy and not open to change, Amplify it is. There's an example of a projector shader in Amplify, so that's perfect. I will start with that and tweak it. Time to hit Google. Perfect, I found this tutorial. Thank you, Alan Sacconi. This was great. Just need to recreate that code in Amplify. So I'm basically moving the pattern into different directions and then blending them together with the min function. Look at that. Caustics done. So next on the agenda is that lamp. It's an obvious focal point in the scene, so we need to get that in. It's pretty straightforward. I just do a simple little mesh, slap on an emissive material, then a point light with an aura component to get that glow going. The point light is set to mixed mode, so the indirect light will be baked in the scene, but the direct light is real time, and that's just so we can pick up real-time reflections on our surfaces. Added some light outside the windows as well. That's mostly just to break up this super flat color with something more gradual. And also some light shining down from the ceiling, so we can pick up reflections from those. I create a metal material and a little reference sphere so we can check out the metal, how it works with the scene. So right now the sphere only picks up the reflection from the light in the ceiling, that blue one. But we also need to reflect the environment to make it a believable metal. That we achieve by adding reflection probes, moving that about, and do a bake. So that's much better, right? We now have reflections of the environment. Windows is a bit off on color, so we change the background in the probe settings to fix that. Then add a couple of more reflection probes around the apartment, and we're done with that. Okay, so for me, the most interesting part is pretty much done already. We've created the mood and we set the lighting, we tried out the effect. But I guess we need to create some assets to replace the cubes. First, create a chair leg with a line, then you create the rest of the chair. Done. Okay, and here's me doing a table. I don't really want to spend days or weeks creating everything in this apartment. That's just doing the same thing over and over again. I'm more interested in learning new stuff. So I'm just gonna create the major assets of the scene, the ones that are most in focus, and then we'll raise the fidelity of everything just a little bit at least. Enough with the modeling. It's pretty standard stuff really. Move around some polygons, map and texture in the simplest of manner that you can get away with. Okay, so a sofa, a lamp, a table, a bed. export everything as an FBX, and then we can start replacing stuff that we have in the Unity scene. Create the appropriate materials, so replace stuff and tweak. I don't know why I'm saying replace stuff and tweak like I'm telling someone else to do it. That's what I did. Replace and tweak stuff. Let's have a peek. Looks pretty good, I think. I'm happy with that. The scene feels a bit dead right now, but a little bit of movement can make all the difference. It doesn't have to be much, just something. I want to achieve that floaty feel we have in the scene, so I'm thinking a slow rotation that goes back and forth would probably work. I found this script who does just that. What I do is I create a parent to which I apply the movement. That way I can simulate a pivot that I can move about where I want it to. Oh yeah, and only contribute GI can be marked static or nothing will happen. So change that. Now tweak the numbers on the rotation script. Okay, yuck. Tweak a bit more. That's better. Then the same procedure on the other floating objects. Floaty. I also added some little particles in the water using a particle effect, but that's super straightforward, so you don't need to go more into that, I think. We're approaching the home stretch now, so almost there. Let's slap some post effects on for some final polish. Importing the post-production stack and doing all the weird little loops to set things up. Layer on the camera, create the post layer, change those settings, add a layer, global, new profile. I wonder if there's a less tedious way to do this. Maybe you should use HDRP, Frederick? Yeah. I'm gonna use the LUT way, just because I think it's kinda neat to do my grading in Photoshop. So you need this LUT profile to make it work. So where can I find this in Unity, you ask? The answer is nowhere. I went for a long search and managed to hunt this down somewhere deep in a forum somewhere. Jump into Photoshop and do a little comparison with the ref. So it's pretty close already, to be honest. I don't need to do much here, but just for demonstration purpose, let's do a big change. Adding a hue adjustment layer. Super pretty. So add that same adjustment to the LUT and save. Now add this LUT here in the color grading slot. Ta-da! Pretty magic, huh? So I ended up doing very small changes, removed some reds and increased the contrast. Almost made it worse, to be honest. Oh well. A bit of bloom never hurt. And lastly, depth of field, because why not? So the very last thing, I went to Zapsplat. That's my favorite place to find sounds. I downloaded an underwater bubbly sound, add an audio source to the camera, drag and drop the sound file, and we are done. So a couple of days and a parking ticket later, we're done. Yeah, so that was super fun. If anyone is watching and you have an idea what could be a cool scene to remake in Unity, please leave something in the comments. Let's have a look and see how it ended up. La 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 la. Yeah, I know it's Pan's Labyrinth, but close enough. La 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 la. If I told you about her. Okay, I wish I could move the mouse a bit smoother. Okay, again. La 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 la. If I told you about her, the princess without a voice, what would I say?